the Irish Medtech Skillnet and IBEC. And I just wanted to introduce how we've ended up here today in today's session. And it's because the Irish Medtech Skillnet is one of the 70 plus funded networks within the Skillnet Ireland grouping of networks, and we are sponsored by IBEC. And our approach with all of the programs that we deliver for the medtech sector is to develop and deliver training that is industry-led. And as such, we will put together a proposal to develop new programs where necessary, the BioInnovate building innovation capacity being one of those programs. And I will now hand over to Yvonne, who will talk us through the actual specifics of this program and the agenda for today. Thanks, Yvonne.
Thanks a million, Anne. So Yvonne O'Byrne is my own name, and I am the Business Development and Project Manager at the Irish Medtech Skillnet. And this morning we have a jam-packed hour for you. So I'm going to give a quick overview, I guess, of how this programme came to be. And then I will pass over to Sinead Walsh and Camille O'Malley, who are from BioInnovate, and they will give you an introduction to BioInnovate and really talk through the details of this specific programme. And then at about 10:30, we're going to hear from 3 industry experts from different functional areas that are just going to give some insights into their experiences of the BioInnovate process and how that has, impacted on their careers. So just to start, for those of you who maybe aren't overly familiar with the Skillnet model, Irish Medtech Skillnet, we deliver industry-led training. Every single training programme that we develop is very much driven by an industry need. And that is no different for this specific programme. This programme was built off the back of a programme that we ran 2 years ago now called Realising Your R&D Ambition. And out of that programme, a need was identified for an innovation training programme that would support both small, medium and large enterprises to build their innovation capacity across multidisciplinary teams in order to enhance their product development process and really, really importantly, to drive a culture of needs-led innovation. So following that feedback, and after we identified that need, we put together a funding application and went to our funding body, Skillnet Ireland, who funded this programme and another programme which we will be launching later this year. And we then went out to the market to identify, I suppose, the very best provider to deliver this training programme. And I suppose when we looked out at the landscape in this space, BioInnovate really are the market leaders in this space in terms of delivering really, really high quality innovation training. They have a really strong track record, and Sinead will talk to you a little bit about that in a few minutes. Really strong track record in this space in terms of delivering innovation training, needs-led innovation training, based on the Stanford Biodesign model, which is globally recognised. And BioInnovate actually are the only EU affiliate of Stanford Biodesign. So it really was a no-brainer for us to work with BioInnovate, and we're really excited to be working with BioInnovate on the development of this programme. So once we met with BioInnovate, we then went back to industry, and that's a really important thing I think about Irish Medtech Skillnet, is that when we design a programme, industry will always have a say in that programme. And so we assembled an industry design group made up of SMEs, startups and multinationals. And we brought that group together with ourselves and BioInnovate. And sorry, if we could just mute our mics there, there's a little bit of feedback. Thank you. So we brought that group together. They met a number of times, and together we put together the content for this programme. So I think this programme really reflects, the needs of industry in terms of the delivery style, the content that's going to be covered. It really is going to be fit for industry because it was designed hand in hand with industry. The programme itself, I've put this slide here as a reference point for you later on, but the website course link is there, the course brochure link is there as well, and you can click onto those if you would like to reserve a place. You can reserve a place directly on our website. The cost of the programme is $3,600, but there is funding available from the Irish Medtech Skillnet, so we can provide 37% funding, which reduces the cost down to $2,268 if you're a multinational. And for startups and SMEs, there's actually 50% funding available because we really want to encourage startups and SMEs onto this program. We want to, make it a really accessible program, and so 50% funding is available. And I think that 1,800 is a really, competitive rate for this type of quality innovation training. And with that, I will hand you over now to Sinead Walsh of BioInnovate.
Thanks a million, Yvonne. And I'm Sinead Walsh. I'm the Director of Operations at BioInnovate Ireland. And we're really excited to be working on this programme. We've been kind of working on it behind the scenes for a number of months. And we, I suppose, just see massive opportunity to really make this innovation training so much more accessible, not only to startups and SMEs, but equally to people who are working in clinical roles, whether within companies or within clinical practice, to really help people understand what it takes to innovate in medtech and digital health, and how to go about actually, starting that process. So just very briefly, Yvonne mentioned that we are the only European affiliate of Stanford Biodesign, and that's where the BioInnovate program came from 13 years ago. We use the same biodesign model as Stanford do, which really is all about looking at the unmet needs in healthcare and only then coming up with solutions to address those needs. So to date, in the last 13 years, we've trained nearly 150 fellows, but additionally, we've trained more than 200 trainees through our shorter 10-day training program. So really, we've had a significant number of people come through that, and we're going to hear from some of those later. So how have we delivered? Well, in the last 13 years, of those 150, I suppose, fellows who've come through the training program, half of those have gone on to clinical roles, bringing their innovation mindset. Half of those trainees have gone on to then startup companies themselves. And if we look at the number of companies that have come out of the program in the last 13 years, we've had 33 companies. And those companies have been really successful in terms of raising funding and progressing their ideas to the point of trying to bring those to commercialization, with some of them being commercially available on the market now. Those companies have raised more than $250 million in funding from grants and from private investment. And I know the number 3,000 or 4,000 patients treated, that number is growing every day. So some of those companies are actively have products on the market. And so the number of people benefiting from technologies that have come directly from BioInnovate training is growing every single day. On the industry trainee side, as I mentioned, we've had more than 200 people trained who are working in predominantly multinational companies. And that's why we're really excited that this new training program now is going to really open up the training for SMEs, startups, and others. But many of those trainees have come through a short-term training program with us, a 10-day one, and have gone back into their company. And in certain cases, for example, some companies, the trainees have come back into the company and have actually led to 3 different products coming through their pipeline. So we have a track record of training really good people, and then those people have the skills and the network then they need to really bring that into practice and actually make that innovation a reality within their companies. So that's a little bit about, I suppose, who we are and what we've delivered on to date. What are you going to get out of this course? Before I hand over to Camille O'Malley, I just want to, I suppose, just give the very high level what this will deliver. And I suppose, first of all, is that really this is going to be bringing together people from a very broad range of kind of roles across companies and across clinical practice. And it takes lots and lots of different mindsets to come together to make innovation a reality. And that's why we always bring together multidisciplinary teams. So this is really exciting that we can bring a really broad range of people, from marketing to clinical roles to R&D engineers to post-market surveillance, to come together and really spark some exciting innovation. The second thing that you will get from this training program, I suppose, is a really good foundation and understanding of what it takes to innovate in medtech and digital health. And the third thing, which we can't underestimate, is really that introduction to the network here within Ireland and abroad of experts and world leaders in medtech innovation. And so not only will you have the toolkit, but you'll have access then to those people that you can go to again to get your innovation off the ground. So that's a really kind of high level, I suppose, snapshot of who we are and what this course will deliver for you. But as I said, we're really lucky to have Camille O'Malley, who's an alumnus from the BioInnovate program and has considerable industry expertise and experience bringing her own innovations from idea right through to a startup. And she's leading out on the training, and she's going to go into more detail on the actual content of the 3-day course, what you will get out of it, and who it is for. So thank you very much, and I'll hand over to Camille.
Thanks very much, Yvonne. Good morning, everybody. So I'll just skip on to the next slide. Okay, so just to give a very brief introduction to the BioInnovate team. So we have a core team of our executive directors. We have advisors. You've heard from Sinead Walsh already. She's the Director of Operations. And then along with her, we have Irish Walsh, who's our full-time 10-month fellowship program manager, and Miss Anne Byrne, who's our program administrator. But along with this team, you also have and it speaks to the network that Sinead mentioned, you have a vast number of supporters of the program, whether they be investors, whether they work in multinationals, whether they're academics, industry, government bodies. We have a lot of experience, a lot of heads coming together to grow the program year on year and to expand our offerings. And I think this BioInnovate 101 program is just the beginning of that. Amongst our team, we have clinical backgrounds, engineering backgrounds. We have members of the team who have started and successfully exited startup companies. We have those that are still in it. We have those that are expanding innovation more on an academic level. So there's a lot of experience to pull from, and I think we'll see the fruits of that in a program like this. So if we move on then to the 101 overview. So Sinead did an excellent job there of kind of introducing who this is for. We consider it to be the first step in building innovation within your team, within your company, understanding some of the more basic principles of what might be involved, and setting up you and your team with a skill set to move forward and to grow that capacity. So we aim to see cultural changes in the team. So having multidisciplinary team expertise, that experience, and that will absolutely come out in the program itself through some of our lecture modalities, but also the practical group work. So as Sinead mentioned, we have a very broad audience for this 101 program, which is incredibly exciting, I have to say, from an alumnus point of view, that we're bringing in more and more different mindsets, quality, reg affairs, data analysts, and then our broad range of healthcare professionals and marketing. So I think there'll be extremely dynamic teams that we bring together, and then that will add, of course, its own unique knowledge and insights to the 3 days. So if we take a quick look at the 3 days themselves on the next slide, we'll be able to see a breakdown of the 3 days. It is very intense. It'll be a 9 to 5 in-person nature. We'll have a mixture of lectures where we'll go through some of the overview points of biodesign methodology, some of our language, what we consider to be needs-led innovation, what's an unmet clinical need. We'll take you through those basic principles. A core part of the 3-day program is that we will be working within multidisciplinary groups. So we'll form those at the beginning of the first day. We will be giving an assigned project area and a scope to investigate. Because this type of biodesign methodology, needs finding, innovation, it can really be done practically. And that's where the best learnings will come from. So each team will be assigned a specific area, and we will lead you through working the steps. And then ideally at the end of the 3 days, we'll have each team present a concept pitch deck. So you'll have kind of run through some of the high level principles of what might be involved, what are things to consider, how we might find an unmet need, how we might find a concept that might meet that need, and where we would set up a future plan to move forward. So we'll go through some of the needs finding processes. We'll apply some of our observations. We'll have some guest lectures from experts who have applied our Biodesign methodology in some of the more unique settings, maybe come up with some very unique innovations that are changing the way that we currently view or practice some of our healthcare. On the second day, we'll look to apply filters. And this is a really critical part of the Biodesign methodology, where not only can you identify something that is being undermet or underserved, but how can we know that this is better than a list of 20 more? And so that comes from what we call filters. So what is the impact that this need would have if it was solved? Things like market, things like how do we prove it? These are really, really critical to finding that true solution to a really critical problem. We will take you through some styles of brainstorming, how to do it within multidisciplinary teams, how to do it quickly. And these will be the type of skills that you can take back to your organizations and to your companies, and you can apply very quickly and very practically to your own teams and to your own settings. We'll talk through some of the broader concepts around regulatory and reimbursement considerations, concepts around patents. And again, we like to pepper each day with expert insights. So we'll have some clinical backgrounds and clinical professionals come in, and we'll consider them our stakeholders. So if we're working a healthcare problem, they'll be related to that, and we'll have an opportunity to validate some of the things that we've learned, some of the questions that might come up over the 2 days, and get that really, really insightful feedback. On the final day, then, we will discuss business models. And this will be, I think, very topical and very interesting to quite a few people, because we can see big changes in our healthcare with the way that we do business now. It's not as simple as here's a solution and here's a therapy for it. We have many different versions of treatment, many different versions of making money, subscription-based models, etc. And so we'll cover some of that and work it into each practical session with the groups. We will cover some skills and some tools around having an effective pitch. I think more and more in any team, in any company, you find yourself needing to public speak, find yourself needing even to convince one other person on your team that something might be a good idea or a good way to approach a problem. And so these skills can be transferred in that way. And then finally, at the end of the day, we'll have a panel of some of our advisors, some of our experts, various backgrounds, come in and have each group present what we call the concept pitch. So we understand you won't have big technical solutions for all these problems, but you will have thought through each of the elements. You will have made an argument for the health economics for such and such a technology, and we just want to hear that. We want to get some feedback and give some feedback and come away at the end of the 3 days feeling that you really did work the process on a high level. And so the idea being that after the 3 days, you're set up with this practical knowledge, with early kind of skills and tools that you'll be able to take back to your team, and that might prepare you for building innovation more within your team, and maybe taking on kind of further training, whether that be with BioInnovate or within your team, around building innovation. So as Sinead mentioned, there's a lot that we want to cover in 3 days, and there's a lot of outcomes for you guys. But being aware of the needs-led innovation, the Biodesign methodology, it is critical. We're finding more and more it being applied in many settings, and it you know, the truth is there. You can see it in the statistics alone for BioInnovate, over 268 million raised in funding from following the process to finding innovative medical technologies. The critical skills on how to identify an unmet medical need, having a holistic view of BioInnovate, understanding what we offer, what we consider, what we involve our stakeholders with in order to get to commercially viable solutions or commercially viable processes, and then actively and effectively communicating your value proposition. So if something is an unmet need, if you do feel you have an innovative way to work the problem, tell us how valuable that will be. What are the components that we need to consider there? And then finally, what I would say is BioInnovate comes with 13 years of practical knowledge, but impossible to count up all of the knowledge of all the people involved, of all the advisors, of all the experts. And that is access that you get when you are part of the BioInnovate network. I have four logos here. That doesn't even do it justice. Enterprise Ireland, Stanford Biodesign, Irish Medtech Skillnet, and Irish Medtech IBEC. This is just a flavor of the support and the contact that you get, but it is critical to you and your company to begin to develop these networks. BioInnovate will help you with that in order to drive your RD&I at an Irish base. And so this is really what we want to see happen with BioInnovate 101, it being that first step to innovation for those that are interested in getting into this space and maybe don't know where to begin. This definitely is the course for you. Thank you very much. Oh, sorry, I forgot about our key dates. So of course we have the webinar today. The 3-day course is scheduled for the 28th, 29th, and 30th of May. So that leaves you about 5 weeks or so before the beginning, 4.5, 5 weeks. It's run from Tuesday morning to Thursday evening. Like I said, it will be full time from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and it will be run in BioInnovate Ireland here at the University of Galway. An exciting piece that we have currently pending is being able to collect CPD credits for this course. So that is a pending from Engineers Ireland and from the Royal College of Physicians Ireland, but we hope by the time the programme starts we will be able to confirm that with the applicants. So you'll be able to collect about 35 credits, building to 35 credits with Engineers Ireland and building to I think 40 credits with Royal College of Physicians Ireland. So as soon as we have confirmation on that, we'll be able to tell applicants to the programme. But if you have any more questions or if you want to speak directly with me about some of the programme components or learnings or practicalities, my email is there and I'll be very happy to chat with anyone who has any questions. So we have Experts Insight next. Will I hand back to you, Yvonne?
Yeah, thanks a million, Camille, for that really comprehensive overview of the programme. It certainly is jam-packed 9 to 5 every day, but it sounds like a really exciting content put together. And we will be handing over now to Enda Connaughton, who is he's the principal process engineer from Boston Scientific. So Enda, if you want to unmute your mic.
Hi guys. I have the fire on here, so just to keep me warm. Yeah, no, I was asked to come on and chat about how it impacted on my career and how it worked out for me. I know there was 5 or 6 previous fellows came through the industry, the 10-month training with BioInnovate prior to myself. So Boston Scientific kind of invested a bit in it. They take it pretty seriously. But from my own perspective, we got to do all the clinical immersion and meet with physicians and watch procedures and all that. So Camille mentioned that it does teach you a different language. It takes a while to nearly get up to speed on what's an unmet need and what are the clinicians and physicians and nurses looking for. They're not actually looking for anything. You have to try and identify what they're missing. So it was a great experience for me. I was 2 years, we'll say, as working with the global R&D guys from process development. You wouldn't often get that kind of exposure to the R&D and marketing and all that kind of front end stuff of product development. But I ended up with, I probably submitted maybe 14 different patents to our patent review board. 10 of them were accepted and went through for IP. But when you come back into the team, then it's easier to talk to the R&D guys and the marketing guys and maybe challenge them a bit on why are we doing this particular, iteration of a device, or any further development on new products. But it kind of, I suppose, gives the confidence as well. You're after going through the 10-month course, and it changes the way you think about things. And I know we mentioned the brainstorming, like we would have done a lot of courses on brainstorming over the years in Boston, but it just kind of pulls it all together into, it just has you thinking differently about the products and medtech in general. All from the market side of things, and challenging, what's going to be the impact of this new device, or if we do meet the unmet need, how is it going to impact on the whole industry and the patient and the physicians. And yeah, I couldn't recommend it enough. I suppose the BioInnovate. I did the 10-week course back in 2016, and it definitely sparked an interest. So I wouldn't have a whole lot more to share on it, except it's a good course.
Thanks a million, Enda.
Yeah.
We might just pass over now to Claire. So we want to get a variety of insights here. So Claire Nolan is coming from a clinical background, and she's a clinical consultant. So Claire, you might talk us through, I suppose, from a clinician's perspective, the value that working through the BioInnovate process has had on your career.
Thank you, Yvonne. Yeah, I suppose I'll give you a little of my background. So nursing is my original degree, and I worked in nursing for 20 years. And I enjoyed my job. I had worked my way up. I was running a vascular suite. And I suppose, as it happens with everyone, you meet different people. And I was introduced to the bioinnovation course. And I immediately said, I think that's something I'm very interested in. I did a lot of research. You're at a certain part in your career, and it's a big change to launch yourself. And so I did a lot of research before I applied. And I don't think I met anyone throughout the previous alumni or any of the industry people that I spoke to that said that it wouldn't be a good idea. Everyone encouraged me in that way. And so I applied. I was happy to get a place. And I suppose the other part of my background is myself and my husband have a business that we started in 2019, and we supply animal product to medical device companies for clinical research. And, using, I suppose, me doing this course married the two together very much for me, whereas up to this point, they weren't that connected. And I suppose the main I would say, sorry, now I've kind of lost my train of thought there. Initially, I couldn't see where a clinical person might fit into the medical device industry, apart from kind of an idea source. Whereas actually, I discovered a myriad of career opportunities that were previous kind of beyond my reach. I had been doing a small bit of clinical consultancy with medical device companies, but I was able to expand on that. And it really equipped me with skills in order to build our business. So consequently, after doing the master's, I've now decided not to go back to nursing currently, and I'm kind of full-time running our business, and I do a bit of consultancy on the side. But I suppose, as Sinead mentioned, a lot of what people tell you about is the network, and being introduced to that network. I hadn't fully understood what that meant. And I still remember being on the BioInnovate Masters, and on day 2, Eamon Brady had come to speak with us. And like I said earlier, I had done my homework. I'd spoken to a lot of people. and I knew what a rock star he was, and I couldn't believe that, you know, this was day 2. They're never going to top this. You know, we're getting to discuss our needs, our interests with Eamon Brady, and it just went on from there. You know, we met so many industry leaders and like-minded innovators. You know, a lot of the alumni, they're so generous with their time, and we met some really gifted engineers, and like some of them were in our students in the class with me, and then we had access to the amazing faculty of academics within the college, from engineering, business, you know, anything you could ask for. And then on top of all that, from a clinical perspective, we got this network also, and I felt I had worked 20 years in nursing, and I'd worked in theatre, and I had a good clinical, I would say, network built up. I had a really good base. However, you know, this, you know, the BioInnovate ticket opened up, you know, hospitals in Dublin, and we could email anyone abroad. We actually traveled to Paris to some of the conferences, and, you know, we got the opportunity to sit and interview people about their experiences and show them our needs and get their opinions on our innovations and strategies, and have them knocked down regularly. And then when you get that one where somebody says, you know, actually that's really interesting, you know, they were very exciting times throughout the course. And then I suppose back to our business, you know, I'm in a position now where I kind of full-time work in it. So you can imagine we've managed to build it, you know, very significantly in the last year or 18 months since I did the course. So one of the main things was getting into that expanded network. We have so many more clients now that customers that we supply, that, you know, I can't say that I would have been mixing with before I joined the network. And then you get this very good insight into the medical device industry, which really helped. It was kind of instrumental in guiding our R&D efforts, and it identified lucrative opportunities within the sector that we had not considered. I mentioned Eamon Brady earlier, and he actually was a customer of ours before I did the course. I hadn't met him, but we were supplying one of their companies, and he was able to tell me stuff about my product that I didn't know. And, you know, that it could be used in so many other aspects, which was, you know, which was game changing for us. And we've managed to draw on that. And now we're working with some multinationals, and we've set up our own lab, and we are exporting abroad now. It's all, you know, it's very exciting changes have happened for us in the meantime. The commercialization then part of the course that we covered, I would have felt like you got a good overview of market analysis, positioning your product, business strategy, and, you know, all of those, you know, help to enable us to effectively commercialize our innovation within our own business and maximize our impact on the market. And like I said before, we've had huge growth this year with our business. And then this opportunity, like I mentioned, we've set up our own lab now, and we've kind of strategically aligned with a multinational, and, you know, being able to identify areas where our supply business is most needed within an industry. And a lot of that came from, you know, that commercial expertise and learning all about where we fit. And you know, those strategic partners, one of the most highlights for me of the year studying the course was we traveled to Paris to a conference, and I got to meet up with the Life Tech group in Paris, and they have a beating heart model that they use in a lot of R&D, and I was able to talk to them about their business model and how they saw the industry evolving and where we'd fit in that, which will really help us in the future. So from a clinical point of view, I could see that, you know, in a nurse's role, and even before I did the master's, I did a small bit of human-centered design while I was preparing to enter the master's, and I could see it in every facet of how I did my clinical role. You know, it changed the decisions I made. It changed, you know, people talk about this new lens that you get after studying design thinking, and you're not necessarily looking for problems, but you're seeing them everywhere. And, you know, it gives you that, you know, the solutions come easy. Whereas I think a lot of the time in healthcare, we're asking ourselves, you know, well, or we're not asking ourselves, why are we doing it this way? Or if we are asked, it's like, oh, it's because we always did it this way. Whereas, you know, changing your way of thinking and looking at design thinking definitely gets you thinking about, well, how can we do it better? What are the better ways? And I could see, you know, there are so many ways that that new lens would really help in the clinical role. But yeah, that's the conclusion to how I had that transformative journey after the BioInnovate Masters.
Thanks a million, Claire. It's really, really interesting to hear, I suppose, from a clinical perspective, how this program can really add value to both, you know, new products, processes, and new businesses. And finally, we might pass over now to Nicola Kelly. So she's a senior reliability engineer from Medtronic. Nicola, you can unmute your mic. We lost Nicola. Do we have Nicola? Sorry.
Hi, Yvonne. I'm just checking to see if Nicola's on the list. So give me just 1 second. Yeah, Nicola's on. Oh, actually, no, I'm not.
Maybe she might have.
She might have dropped off.
Yeah, she might have dropped. Look, that's fine. I think we've got a pretty comprehensive overview so far anyway on the I suppose application of the BioInnovate process within both a technical and a clinical function. So we might just move now, and if we do get Nicola back, we will hear very briefly from Nicola. But just if there's any questions from anyone on the call about the program itself, about how do you sign up around by the BioInnovate process, or if you have any questions at all, we'd be very happy to answer those now.
And if people want to come on camera and ask them in person, they can do that, or else they can put it in the chat.
Hi, my name is Anne Donnelly. I'm a senior program manager in medical devices. I found the talk really interesting and very inspiring. I guess this was my key question is in terms of, because both, I mean, I guess it sparks an interest again in the BioInnovate program, which I have kept an eye on over the years as I have worked in different positions, as well as the 3-day condensed program. I guess I'm wondering in terms of the learning, the learnings that would be the methodology you're using in the condensed program. Is that the same methodology you'd be teaching and applying in the broader BioInnovate program? So, because I guess where I'm coming from, I'm trying to decide, given my point in my career, my aspirations and interests in innovation, where I'm best positioned. If I feel I really want to make a mark in the innovation space, would it be better applying to the smaller program or actually consider applying for the larger program? And I realize that's something I need to do a lot more research on, but that's a question I'm holding right now.
I suppose that this program will very much provide that sort of first stepping stone. It will be the same principles, language, methodology, tools, but it will be more, worked examples as opposed to the 10-day program where obviously there's more time to go in and I suppose have more detailed clinical immersion, etc. But I might just actually pass this question over to Sinead, who I think, or Camille, who might have, I suppose, be able to advise you on whether you are better suited maybe to do this program as a starting point, or wait and maybe apply to the 10-day program?
So, and just to clarify, when you say the 10-day program, because my understanding is the BioInnovate Masters is a 10 months program. So is there three potential programs we're talking about: a condensed 3-day program, a 10-day program, and a BioInnovate Masters?
Sinead, do you want to jump in? And yeah, there are 3.
Apologies. Yeah.
Okay.
And no, thanks a million for your question. And yes, there is our flagship program that most people would know about, which is the 10-month fellowship program.
Yeah.
I mentioned we trained more than 200 people from different medtech companies and that was through our 10-day program. Now that 10-day program, we've run that annually since BioInnovate was established, but it's 10 days over about 20 weeks, and usually the teams will need to spend another day effectively working on their projects outside of those 10 days. So it's a pretty significant commitment, both for the individual taking on that training program and for the company as well. So I would say if you're interested in getting your foot in the door in terms of driving innovation, this 3-day course is the best one to start that process. Claire mentioned that she had done a huge amount of research before coming into the 10-month program. Effectively, this is like part of that research, but you will hopefully get CPD points and you will have a huge number of learning outcomes at the end of those 3 days. And you will have a really good knowledge of what's involved, and also probably better understanding than yourself of whether actually this is really for me and I want to continue with further training opportunities, of which there are several within BioInnovate, or is this something I want to bring into my current practice and at a later stage then look to come into further training opportunities. So I would say it's a really great first step, and I'd strongly recommend that you would sign up for that 3-day course and use that as part of your preparation and your research to see if a career in innovation is really what you want to get into.
Wonderful, thank you.
I might just add there as well, Anne, sorry, that the principles are the same across all the training programs. So they're the exact same. Although there are condensed versions, and there, for example, in the 3-day course, there would be obviously less time to and we wouldn't be able to get into an immersive environment compared to, let's say, the 10-month program where you'd spend 8 weeks in an immersive environment. But the principles are the exact same across, and several people have come in to our 10-day offering and have subsequently gone on to the further training afterwards because they got bitten by the innovation bug, as Enda might say. Yeah.
And just a question around that, and apologies for hogging with questions. If I would have some ideas in the innovation kind of technology medtech space, which I think are very scalable. So, do I come in to the program with those ideas and look to build on them? Like, I'm not so driven that I would see myself setting up a company. It's just not, I'm like, well, I'm an idea generator. That's sort of the skill I bring. But so in terms of bringing if you come in with certain ideas, can you build on them in that 3-day program, or what? Or do you want to come in with a blank mindset? What's the thoughts on that?
So the way that we have structured the 3 days is in order to get teams, like you be segregated into teams, in order to get that kind of engagement, that conversation, those dynamic discussions, we want to have everybody working in a similar clinical area. And so we'll choose a clinical area for you, and we'll give you sort of a scope and a range to look at that is manageable over 3 days. So certainly, I don't want to say that we don't want you to come in with your own ideas. We always love to hear and love to see people kind of with that nature and with that kind of energy for it. But we, of course, want to have something that we can very practically get everybody on board with. So we have chosen a clinical area that's very accessible, very understandable, and right now is very dynamic within healthcare. That's a space that we'll look at. And where the 3 days, again, would differ to the 10-day program for industry training and then for the fellowship is that one of the kind of pieces that we've taken out is clinical immersion. So in your 10-month fellowship, about 2 months of that is solely given to clinical immersion. In the 10-day program that industry training do, there's a couple of weeks given to that, kind of back and forth. But of course, in 3 days, there isn't time to send you to hospitals and so on and so forth. So we've come up with a model where we'll be using clinical observations and clinical insights for a very understandable problem, but we will ask you to build on those, maybe add a couple of more, and then take them through the process. So ideally, you get through the full process, you get a kind of a high level understanding of each of the components. And so then anything that maybe you have been kind of percolating in the back of your mind about, is this innovative or is this what, you can apply those skills and those tools to that, and then potentially come back to us for the 10-day or the 10-month fellowship. But this will give you the opportunity to see some of the considerations, some of the mindset that might be involved, some of the steps. And then, as Sinead said, that'll help you prepare for what you want to do next in your career.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Any more questions?
What's the size of the sign up generally, or what's it at the moment? Like many.
There's a total of 20 spaces available on the program. So that we do still have some space available, but this is quite a popular program just because it is, I suppose, opening it out and making it very accessible now to both startups and SMEs, in addition to multinationals who may be wanting to build that innovation mindset and that capacity among their wider teams. So it is a popular program, but there's 20 spaces in total that will be open to book.
Perfect, thank you.
Just on that, Yvonne, I know there have been bookings in already, so I would strongly say that if people on the call here are interested, I'd recommend that you get in straight away to book your place, because it's likely to fill up quite quickly after this webinar. So I would recommend to book early if you're interested in coming on board.
And where's the application?
So you can, I'll send out this slide deck afterwards, and you can apply it through the Irish Medtech Skillnet website. You can book on there. You can also contact BioInnovate directly. So Camille's email will be there as well. And so you can either book on through our website or you can contact BioInnovate directly.
And also, just to reiterate, I suppose the programme itself has funding from the Irish Medtech Skillnet, and I think that, you know, it's always important to remind people that there is grant funding, or there's funding there available that makes this programme less expensive for people to be able to access as well, and it's a big advantage of a Skillnet. And also, you don't need to be a member of IBEC. We are sponsored by IBEC, but this is open to all companies across Ireland. So please contact whoever you need to contact that's on the list. We'll come back to you.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, well, if there's no other questions, we might keep it or hold it there and give you back, 5 or 10 minutes of your morning. But if you are thinking of signing up, both myself and Camille and anyone else within the BioInnovate team or the Irish Medtech Skillnet team would be more than happy to help. My email is there, and so is Camille's, and the QR code there will bring you straight to our website, and you can book on through the link on our website. The link is also earlier in the slide deck as well. The slides plus this recording will all go out within the next 24 hours, so you will have access to that. And as Sinead said, this is a popular program. It is likely to book very, very quickly following this webinar. So if you are interested in the program, if you have someone within your team who you think may be interested, definitely reach out as soon as possible to book them on. And with that, I might close the session.
And Yvonne, just to also confirm, this recording will be available as well for people to share, right?
Absolutely. The recording will go up on our YouTube channel, and we'll share a link to that recording afterwards with everyone, in addition to the slide deck. So you'll have all the resources there to reference back if you can't remember something that was discussed earlier this morning. You can watch back the webinar, at your own time, or share it within your team, and similarly with the slide deck, you can do that as well. Okay, well, thank you everyone for giving up 50 minutes of your morning. We really do appreciate you taking the time to log in this morning and listen to our speakers, and thanks again to our speakers who have signed on from industry, and also Camille and Sinead from BioInnovate. Really appreciate your time, and yes, we hope to see some of you on the programme later in the summer, I was going to say, but it's coming around very quickly now, so in 5 weeks' time we hope to see some of you there. Thanks everyone.
Thanks, Yvonne.
Thanks everyone. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much.